with today we have my good friend Doyle Bransom. Y'all know this is the Bransom case over here. We came here in '62. When I got to Burleson, everybody in town had Bransom DNA. I don't know how. That's true. That's true. Everybody, you didn't talk about nobody because they were kin to somebody.
I had to get out of Johnson County to get a wife.
I don't have people lying wood. Okay, so that's it now. Of course, Doyle, there's a popping in his deal. We think it's his knees or his shoulder. We're not too sure what's popping. But he's going to get that.
Teeth, I think.
Teeth are popping.
Yeah, ugly. Maybe let me show up. We'll show you a little better.
This is check.
Let me say again.
Of course, Doyle's born 2.5 miles from here, so he's kind of native born guy. About 84 years old.
Almost.
Good be.
Wow.
And he got all
He
the
wouldn't believe it, but looking at me, would he?
No.
He had to be at least 95.
and he got all the education he needed.
No, I was thinking more.
There's the school system. He got all he needed from over there. Now also, real nice place is Prairie Springs Cemetery, the Bransom Cemetery. Doyle ran that for the last several years. He really increased the cash flow. Once you got the gas put all out there, that helped out a little bit.
Sure did.
I got handed on down the line. So Doyle, he make statements first, and we'll have some questions for later. And why I mic is when I'll repeat the question. Because usually when you do this, one thing you get is the answer. So we'll have a question when you get around to the questions and answers. Does he need to set up on the stool?
Do I need to sit up higher?
Yeah. No, he can't be recorded. He can't be videoed.
Can't be recorded?
Nope.
However you're comfortable, sir.
Huh?
He can get up there.
Well, I want to make sure that I'm get the right side filmed, you know. This is for posterity, isn't it?
Just it. You got it. Okay, Mr. Doyle Bransom.
Did you say you were using your posterity?
Yep. I didn't know what it was. It's what it is about wore out anyway. Well, my name is Doyle Bransom, and I was born 2.5 miles from right here out 174. If you drive out that way and you come by the Yamaha place on this side and the Goodwill on this side, well, 174 just split our two fields. And our house was back up in behind there on the other side of the creek. And I was born there in 1930. Dr. McNarian delivered me and all 7 of my brothers and sisters. And I think the first 4 or 5 was $10, and the rest of them was $20. I think I cost $20, and I don't know whether I was worth it or not. But anyway, I don't remember my first recollection of anything in my life was after I was 5 years old. I don't remember anything that happened to me before 5. I can tell you things that probably happened to me, but I was told that it happened to me. I think that's what people do more than anything. But had Centerville School set over, went out where that Barwalk Farm used to be, only it was another place then, and then back over there about 1.5 miles from there was 1-room frame schoolhouse. And it went 1st grade through 7. And after you finished the 7th grade, you come to Burleson. And Miss Dunn taught all 7 grades. Can you believe it? And I had a brother and a sister going there, and I went with them a day or two there at start. They took me over there, just let me go, and it was a good help for Mom because she got rid of me for a while all day. And Miss Dunn said, well, he can just come all day. So I just got one first grader. He won't get any credit, but he can come all the time. So I went the whole year. And then the next year I started at Burleson School District down here. And that big 3-story building, a 6-year-old coming from a cotton farm. And riding a Model A school bus. And walk up those big, wide stairs and go up to the first grade. Building was on the second floor. It was on the first floor, second floor, the first floor. And it was really, I guess if it was today, I'd probably say it was really bothering me. But I've done something to my psyche that didn't to me then, because I had to go to school else. And there was 3 stories, it's 3 floors, and they had, at that time, they had 11 grades. Graduating 11. And my older sister graduated in 10. But then when I got in 6th grade, they changed everything up. You go 12, because you can't learn nothing yet. And I couldn't learn nothing 12. I didn't pay attention, I guess. And anyway, I come there. And that school down there at that time, we had outdoor prejudice. We had 2. Big regular down there, close to that other road, one for the boys, one for the girls. And we didn't have a sewer system there for a couple of years after that, or maybe 3. I don't know. I know it was longer than that before we got a sewer system in our area here at Burleson, around my house, down here when we moved to Burleson. But anyway, we finally got a sewer system. And 1936 is when I started. That's when the Burleson School District Gymnasium opened for business. Been playing on the school ground out the back, still winning trophies. And they come in, they, yeah, come on in. And that was a really fancy gym at that time. It was built by WPA workers with Emmett Harris was the general foreman out there. And we had the basketball court. The floor was just the shiniest thing you ever saw, prettiest floor. And we had a stage at the north end. And we had PTA meetings there, and every month, and each class, the school would have we rotated every month. We had the program. And I'll never forget Emory McAllister. He was in my brother's class, and he was singing The Dying Cowboy, about the cowboy that got shot in the streets of Laredo and laying there dying. And he done the best performance you ever saw. He just done just like that, just welled it up on the stage, and everybody clapped, and yay! Boy, that's good. Well, it was good because he actually fainted.
That was good acting.
And you know that we'd come out here to the Students Association meeting, and Emory'd come up to me and he said, I guess you still remember me fainting on the stage. I said, sure do, Emory. Every year he said, you still remember that? And I said, yeah, I sure do. And but anyway, and then we had showers on each side of the stage. Dressing room and showers for the basketball players and volleyball players. And then under the stage, we had a basement. And I'm sure most of you heard about the basement down there. It was a agriculture and shop room instruction. And they had a bunch of good equipment down there, you know, woodworking equipment and all. And Ben Whitehouse was the teacher. he started there in 1936. And he left in 48, I think, when his son graduated. And and on the south end was the home economics classrooms. They had on the west side had the sewing, where the girls were taught sewing. And on the east side was the cooking class. And then later on, they built the shop, the ag shop, the agriculture building with the shop, big nice shop. And when they done that, well, we got a cafeteria in the basement. They put a cafeteria in the basement of the gym. And then later on, they built the cafeteria, and I don't know what happened to the basement after that. I know it's filled up now. It's been filled up, but that's the buildings. That's when the buildings came around. And I know myself, after I got in about the 8th grade or 9th grade, I started helping the janitor every day. And her name was Miss Clara Hurst. And I swept all 3 floors, studio, all the classrooms, stairs, picked it all up, and took out the waste baskets, emptied them, burned the trash. And I got $1 a week for that, though. And you can't believe it. But you know, on Saturday, I had $1 and a lot of boys didn't. So I felt like I was lucky to get that. I helped her for about, I think 3 years or so, like that. And then the town itself this was Old Town, and this was a drugstore when I first remember coming here on bale of cotton with my dad to go to the gin. And we had a funeral parlor over here, and right there in the hardware store. And then we had a bank on the corner, and Big Four grocery and implements. They sold farm implements, and later on, of course, appliances. And Garner's Barber Shop, right there next to where the restaurant is now, where the Big Four was. And I shined shoes there on Saturday after I got to be about 12 or 13. And we started we opened at 6:30 and closed at 10, or whenever all of them quit coming in. Those old boys come in off the farm, and we had a shower there. They'd come in, take a shower, and get a shampoo and a haircut, a shave, and get their old boots where they'd been out in the barn, get them all cleaned up. And I shined shoes there for 2 or 3 years on Saturday. And that's the way I made my spending money. I just worked whatever I could do. And we bought, whenever we came from the farm to home to here, we brought our cow and we brought our chickens. And we had an extra lot down there that my mother worked as a garden, and her and myself. And we were what I called poor. But there was others that were poor. The difference between poor and poor is that poor has plenty to eat and no money, and poor don't have much to eat and no money at all either. And it was a blessing to me for us to have that. And I know that when it comes to teachers, I think J.W. Norwood was as fine an educator as I'd ever known. He taught me more about math than I could have ever learned in the time that I went to school. And he taught me the kind of math that helped me in my business whenever I got on out on my own. where I could figure percentages and all. I could figure them in my head, and I wouldn't have to take up time when I was selling something to somebody. And he was a fine man, a fine, not only an educator, but he was a fine person. And he didn't, he believed in being the same with everybody. As long as you respected him, he'd respect you. And I think most of the boys that been over and got busted, they probably thanked him whenever they left, because they knew they needed it. And I never heard any of them fussing at him, fussing about it or anything. And that's just the kind of man he was. And I know that there was times whenever he would, I know of several occasions where he bought tennis shoes for kids that couldn't afford them and wanted to play basketball. And he got them to the kids some way to where the kids didn't know where they was coming from. And a lot of people didn't know about that. And he really was good about it. And he had a good sense of humor. I was sweeping down in the basement one day, and I'd always wait till it's about time for the bell to ring for the first bus, and I'd just wait till they all got out of the basement, and then I'd start sweeping. And he was there, and he came down, walking down through there, and we started talking, just passing the time of day. And the southwest corner of that basement, the second grade, 7-year-olds. Well, the bell rang, and boy, that door opened, and I'll tell you, they came out of that room. This little girl, one little girl, she was leading the pack, and boy, I mean, she was running. And it's dark. We had about 3 drop lights, I believe it was. See, yeah, you may know better about that than I did in the basement. I think there was 3 in there, and they used about a 50-watt bulb in them. And so you can imagine how much light there was. And Mr. Norwood didn't allow running in any part of the building. So he just reached out and got that little girl by the arm and said, "Young lady, can't you walk?" "No, sir, I ride the bus." Boy, she took off like a streak of light. He couldn't do nothing but laugh. He just So he had a good sense of humor. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask me? Okay.
Aside from the fainting thing, what is your favorite memory of growing up in this town?
Oh, it was a fine time. I was going to say something about this. It was one of the best times that a person could be growing up in Burleson. I don't know about any other place because this is where I grew up. But everybody was friendly, I guess. I mean, as far as I know, there was. And I knew just about everybody in this town. I even lived next door to Pinto there for a couple of 3 years. They lived next door to us. And
they tore our houses down, ain't they?
yeah, they're all tore down. They tore down Mother's house down here a couple of weeks ago. And one of my nieces came down and just all like a baby. And she's a grandma. But anyway, it was a good time to grow up in Burleson, Texas. Of course, World War II changed all that. To a certain extent. It didn't completely change it. Burleson is still a good place to grow up, comparatively speaking to lots of other places. But every graduating class, the boys all joined the Air Force, the Navy, or something, Marines, something, right quick. And I know the last brother of mine to join, as soon as he turned 17, he went and got his paper and got Mom and Dad to sign them. They already had 4 sons in there. But they went ahead and signed for him. And it was a good time, but it was a good time for growing up. I enjoyed it. I could ride my bicycle and cover this whole town, street by street, in a half a day and knew at least 90% of the people. And now I'm a stranger here. So I don't know anybody, hardly.
How about your run-in with Bonnie and Clyde?
Oh, yeah, I forget that. That's a good story.
That's a good story about Bonnie and Clyde.
We was going to that Centerville school out there, and we'd walk home in the evening, come around the gravel road there, and my brother just older than me. My youngest sister, well, they were walking home one day in this car. We'd get in the car with anybody. I'd walk to town when I was 8 years old, get Mama some vinegar, and when she was canning, and I'd get in the car with anybody. Anybody that wanted to stop and give me a ride, I'd take it, and never did have any problem. Well, they crawled in the back seat of this old Ford, and it was full of guns. And they told them who they were. Said, we spent the night in Prairie Springs Cemetery last night. This is true. Prairie Springs. Yeah. Yeah. They would spend the night in cemeteries because that way they wouldn't be bothered. The ghosts would keep them straight out, and with a bullet over their head. And but anyway, they came home, and at supper time, Dad said, now, I want you kids to be careful now. Don't be getting in the car with strangers. Said, Bonnie and Clyde's in the area. I was in town, Dad. Bonnie and Clyde's in the area, and they've been at the restaurant. And so I don't want you getting in the car with anybody. And Burley and Tommy started laughing. They said, what's the matter? Well, we done got in the car with them today, Dad.
Your dad was the night watchman.
Yeah.
How many years was he night watchman?
19. Came here in 19. We moved here in 1942. After he was the only one left to work the farm, him and me, and I wasn't much help. And he got a job night watching here. And,
Paid him.
well, the city paid him, I think, $10 or $15 a month, and then merchants paid him. Some of them give him $5, some $10. I don't know. I think he made $75, $80 a month. And of course, he just worked 7 nights a week, so it wasn't too bad.
Tell us about how some of his rowdy times.
Well, he had some pretty rowdy times. He did. The first thing is that he wouldn't take the job unless he was deputized. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
And so they deputized him because he couldn't carry a gun. So he could carry a gun. He said, I'm not going to step out there and let somebody kill me. And, well, we'd had a night watchman or two here, and they would, I think they'd see a strange car come through town, they'd go and hide. And it wasn't only here, it was Godly and several of the towns, Alvarado and all. And but Dad was always visible, and if he saw one driving around here that was a strange car, he flashed his light. He'd five-tail flashlight. He flashed the light on them, stop them, ask them what they was doing. And he saw a car pull in down there off of Johnson Street, just across the railroad, and there used to be where that feed store used to be there by the railroad. Before that, there was a grain elevator. And this car pulled in by there, and Dad went down there and shined his light over there and said, what's the matter? He said, well, I can explain everything, mister. He said, well, you don't have to worry about explaining, just tell me what's the matter. And he come over, and boy, I mean, he was going to whip my dad. And my dad bent that five-tail flashlight over his head. I mean, actually bent it. And he brought him on up here, and Teeny Booth had a cafe over there, and they lived in the other side. Your folks know about it. And Dad got Teeny up. This was about 2 o'clock in the morning. Got Teeny up and said, Teeny, call the sheriff. I got a guy over here that I need him to come up and get. And so in the meantime, he was there in that alley between what used to be the post office and Mercer's Grocery there. And the benches are out there. And the guy started running. And of course, Dad pulled out that German Luger and shot up over his head, and he fell down like he was dead. Dad said, oh, you're not dead. I'm a better shot than that. He said, you're not dead. come on. And when he got up here to the corner, well, then he kicked Dad. Well, that's the wrong thing to do. He pulled out his blackjack and started whooping up on him. And Teeny come over and said, Mally, you're going to kill him. He said, I know it. So anyway, he got over and they come up here. The deputy come up, didn't even have his handcuffs. Dad said, well, he'll kill you before he gets to Cleveland. He said, he just had car trouble down here. So Dad went to Cleveland with him, and the next day they got a teletype on him. He had stolen the car in Kansas, and he was wanted in a couple of states. So that was one time he got in trouble.
Good.
Another time, old Dr. Bradford got beat up over here one Saturday afternoon. A couple of guys pulled in there, and I guess they was after drugs. They beat up old Dr. Bradford pretty bad. And Dad happened to be up here in town and knew it. He caught him right quick and made him come over here and park in front of the drugstore and called the sheriff, told him to come. They was coming up here after him. And meantime, they started the car and took off. And I guess they thought he wouldn't shoot, but he just stepped out in the middle of the street and put 5 slugs through the back of their car. And they crippled on out of town, and the sheriff caught him right outside of town out here between here and Alvarado. So that's a couple of three. He had several little scrapes, but he had one people that was, he'd go home at daylight, and they'd come up here, and one of the merchants would say, Mally, somebody stole part of my produce last night. He said, no, they didn't, not last night. Well, it's gone. He said, well, I helped them set it off. So it happened twice, and Dad got to watching. So he went home. We just lived 2 blocks down there, and went in the front door and then come out the back, come up the alley, and there was, loading up produce in front of Mercer's grocery store. And he hollered at them, they took off, and he shot their tire off their car, and they just kept it going with it. Flop, 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 flop. And
Well, I know something about him, and I bet you don't.
I probably do.
You might. In 1960s, he was making his rounds. My daddy lived in a little house back behind Herschel Green's service station.
Yeah, I remember.
And
Yeah.
he was walking by, and you could see a light on. You know, who knows how late it was. And he knew
Yeah.
something was wrong. And he went in, and my daddy had a stroke.
Is that right?
And he called Herschel, and Herschel called my sister, and they took him to the hospital. So
Well.
he found my daddy. Just in making his rounds because the light was on in his house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he did. And there was something else happened there, but I'll think of it in a
What was
minute.
his official title? Night watchman?
Yeah, but he was also a city policeman.
City policeman.
They didn't, I mean, he didn't get paid as a city policeman, but he was that way. And the last 2 years that he worked, they'd hired one policeman, then they hired another one. And so whenever they got a couple of policemen here, one for day and one for night, he said when he retired, he went come to work in 1942, and 19 years, 1961 he retired. And he never did take a vacation. Well, I take it back. He took one vacation when I went to see my sister in the 19 years. And my uncle was my mother's sister, and her husband was down at the house. And he drove on a pickup, and one of them older ones where the bumper sticks out from the radiator grill and all. And he had it backed up in the driveway, and I had my little nephew was down there, and he had this little old wooden airplane, balsa wood airplane, throwing it around. It got hung in a tree right up over that pickup. Dad said, I'll get it. He goes out in the back. He gets a long piece of lumber, brings it around, gets up in the back of that pickup, and then crawls up on the top of the pickup, not the hood, but the top, knocking that plane out of the tree, and he fell over the hood of the pickup and got his legs hung in between the bumper and the car and broke his leg. And he was off for 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Didn't you have a story
All 3 weeks.
about his, your brothers and some of them moving things around town?
Oh, that's me.
Oh, it was
Me
you.
and a bunch of kids with Halloween. Halloween was a night of fun, but he'd gather us all up. He'd say, now, boys, I want to tell you something. I don't care what you do, but you better not tear up nothing. He said, you're going to have to answer to me. Well, I knew I wasn't going to, because I knew what it meant. But we'd take, Askew and Gamble had some of those big old tall cedar posts, 12-footers over there. And we'd, 3 or 4 of us would grab one of them and take it across the street and drop it on the sidewalk. Take another and drop it around on the sidewalk. And then the big 4 had some old implements under their shed around there. I don't know what they were, but they're just old implements. And we took 2 of them, drug them out, pushed them up on the sidewalk, took another and pushed it up on the sidewalk, and moved bread boxes around. The bread men would come around about 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 and push your bread in a bread box so you'd have it when you opened up, because they was going on to Hillsboro somewhere. And we did stuff like that, and then go home about 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or something, 1 or 2 o'clock, I guess. We'd get tired and we'd go home. And the next morning, I got up early. I wanted to go see what all had happened, see what the stores thought. Walked up there and there wasn't nothing out of place. My dad put all that stuff back by himself after we went home.
Ruined your party.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
ever, during the Halloween season, did you ever go cow tipping?
Oh, you mean turn over privies?
Push the cow over to sleep?
Oh, no, I never did.
Just one
Cow tipping.
cow.
Cows?
Couch.
Our daughter did it in college. Cows,
Cow
yes.
tipping.
Cow tipping.
No, I never did do
You
that.
sit on the side of an old cow standing there out in the pasture and you just push it.
I didn't. No, I didn't know. I didn't want to get close to them cows because I was afraid I'd have to milk her.
Tell about one other thing you had was you had 4 brothers in World War II?
I had 5.
5 of them.
Did you serve in the military too?
Well, but it wasn't then. It was later.
Because he's too young. But somehow any serviceman came to town. they had a
Oh
place to
yeah.
stay.
See the highway down there, Highway 81, was going like to San Antonio, Austin, there places. Well, sometimes guy'd be hitchhiking, and they might come to Burleson, turn off out there at Renfro, or just be far as they'd go. It might be 1 o'clock in the morning, and they'd walk up here, and his dad would see him, and he'd flash the light, and they'd ask him if there's a hotel or motel around here anywhere, and he said, no, but what's the matter? He said, well, I got caught out here at night, and I don't have and I don't think I'm going to be able to get a ride. Dad said, well, come on with me. He'd take him down to the house, and he'd say, Mom, get up, go in there and fix that front bedroom and fix this boy a bed. And in the morning, when get him up and feed him breakfast and let him get on the road. And he'd do that. He'd done that, I don't know, a dozen times or more.
What about you told a story about when the war was over?
Yeah. Well, there's 2 or 3.
The news.
Yeah. My N.C. Aiken, which probably you know, he'd already been discharged, and because he was in Europe, that war was over, and every night he'd come down here and just walk around with Dad, talk to him, and he had several people that would do that every once in a while, and he said, now Mally, that war is going to be over in Japan any time, and we're going to hear about it. It's going to be in the night. It's going to be up in midnight or something. And said, I want to be sure and pull the siren. They had a fire siren up on the water tower, and said, "I want you to let me pull it." And he said, "Nixie, you sure can." And sure enough, they got the word that night it was over, and he come over here, and I'll tell you what, he run that thing for, I know, 5 or 10 minutes, and just kept going. And boy, that cars just piled up over there, and that right there in front of that building right over there in the street. People was all over the street talking, and we knew what it was because Dad already told us. And this one guy, Dad already had a problem with him one time because he worked at quartermaster, and he said that war was keeping him in a good job. And that was the wrong thing to say to Dad. And he come down and said, "Where's the fire?" Dad said, "Ain't no fire, the war's over." "Hell, is that all of it? Is that all there is?" Dad said, "You better get yourself on home, go to bed. You better not stay up here any longer." He took off.
We don't keep Doyle up all night. He's just best about that.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, was this still a drugstore?
Yeah, when I was really,
Do you remember it?
when I remembered it as a drugstore. But after I started to school, it had been moved up next to the post office. And Pos Lawless had become the postmaster. And his brother Milam run the subscription deal. And so they moved it up there.
Like, it just seems like my dad made the comment that, like the telephone, that, I guess what he was a little bit older than you, and
Yeah.
that this is where a lot of people came to use the telephone.
Oh, I'm sure they
That
did.
People did not have phones in Burleson, and they came here to use the phone. Did I get that right, or?
I imagine it did. Now, when we moved to town, Miss Wheeler lived right behind where this first building here is a Woods Shopping Center. She lived right there in the house, and she was the phone operator. She had all the equipment and everything, phone company put in there, and she was the phone operator.
Okay, so
And we cranked the phone, and Miss Wheeler, give me number
did you have a
38.
phone- Did you have a phone growing up?
Me,
Yeah, from your parents?
when I was after we moved to Burleson, I was 15 or 16, I guess, when we got a phone. I didn't even have lights. I never had lights until we moved to Burleson. And we whatever we did by
My grandparents.
coal oil
My
lamp.
grandparents never had a telephone
No.
at all, and, but it was interesting, but a lot of people, they did use this for.
Well, I'm sure they did. Yeah, they had to have a central place to do it. Yeah.
Not everybody.
Well, see, the Ann Urban had to have one or some kind of communication.
Some people do, okay. I just was wondering.
Okay, Ken, you get the last one.
We've got a picture over here of the group of guys that were in the Spit and Whittle Club. Spit and Whittle Park, I understand there was a place here, but we might need to get you to name some of those guys, or you might know them. I guess your dad was part of that.
I'm sure he was.
Spit and Whittle group.
Because he could sure spit.
Yeah.
He could sure chew that brown mule and spit.
Yeah, good deal.
And it sure would make you sick if you was a little 6-year-old boy.
Yeah,
Well,
Some experience.
yeah.
yeah, I sure am. I imagine I can tell you some guys that was in it. They had Chick Lawson, Teeny Booth, Uncle Marion Bransom, and
Mr. Sudbury.
yeah, Mr. Sudbury, and who's the guy that worked over at the Haskew and Gamble? Burns, Lash Burns. He was there, and Henry Owens, he was usually in there, and I don't know, they was quite a bunch like that, and if I could see good enough to recognize them in the picture, I'd recognize them. I'd know who it was.
I understand that kids or newcomers really didn't get a chance to talk much. You had to earn your place, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, we didn't pop, whenever I was growing up, or even after I got pretty good size, I shut up whenever the people was in the house. We had company until I was spoken to, I didn't have the floor. In other words, I had the floor, but I was sitting on it.
Now, that Prairie Springs, I might say in that Prairie Springs, been at the Prairie Springs Cemetery, you got a new pavilion out there, you're putting in all the trees, and I mean, it's really nice. It's a good place just to go out there and sit someday in that pavilion, let that wind blow through there, and they have an annual, invite us all to your annual.
Well, we have an annual meeting, the first Saturday in October every year, and it lasts about an hour or so unless we eat. If we eat, we go down, send down, and get chicken and eat, and we read our minutes and take care of any business that needs to be taken care of, and see if we got any money left. And whenever I first become president out there, we were struggling for money, and every so often I'd have to word out a letter, try to make it word where they'd be ashamed not to send some money.
Do you think Hoss Lawless's name, do you think that was his real name? What was his name?
A.H. Lawless. And I don't know what the A.H. stood for. But
I think it was Arthur.
You didn't stand for pulse.
A.H. Lawless.
That's just what they call it.
You also have good entertainment at the meetings too.
Yeah, sometimes we get some guitar pickers and fiddle players and a singer or two.
Les Todd goes. I've been the last 3 years, I think. Les
Yeah,
Todd,
anybody's welcome to come. You don't have to be a member.
Chicken out there. Yeah, good chicken.
But you can go out there, and I'll do a little commercial now.
Yeah,
You can go out there and you can go through that cemetery and read the names and dates and all on those tombstones, and you can learn more about some of the Burleson history or Johnson County history than you. It was once said that our great-granddad, Benjamin Bransom, was kid. At least 75% of Johnson County could trace their heritage back to him.
I didn't know that.
And you have to be buried in there, you got to have some Bransom DNA, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to take me there.
Yeah. He fathered 18 children with 3 wives, not at the same time. The wives weren't at the same time.
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'll tell you something else about him, and I'm not bragging that he didn't go to school, because I think he could, and I think he would if he could have. But he came from Kentucky, and he homesteaded a place out here at Caddo. And when he fulfilled his obligation for the homestead, he signed his deed with an X. He could not write his name or read. And when he died, he owned 2,600 acres of land between Joshua and Burleson in Johnson County. So you can do lots of things if, it's good to have it, but you don't have to.
Doyle, did he own the cotton gins or who?
No, one of his sons did, GW.
That's what GW had 3 cotton gins, didn't they?
Yeah, and one of them was out there on the farm where we lived, and what we had it as a barn. It'd been gone. The gin had been gone.
All right. Well, I guess we'll let you off the hot seat. We appreciate you coming. We got an hour out of you, and that's know a
Is that
lot
all?
more.
Is that all?
Yeah. And you got it.
You just warming up, right?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
just
I
warming up.
warming up. I was getting into my second page of the sermon now.
That's right.
I thank you. I sure do thank you, and I've enjoyed it, and I thank you
That's a good cheer there.
for accepted me, and